The first lesson is about redirecting your focus to what you can control. When we spend time worrying about things outside our grasp, like the actions of others, the past, or unforeseen events, we're only feeding the flames of overthinking. Ancient Stoics taught that by concentrating on what's within our influence, we can find peace amidst chaos. The story of the ancient Spartans offers a vivid example. Before going to battle, the Spartans would not fret over the size of the opposing army or the unpredictable outcome of war. Instead, they focused on sharpening their weapons, training their bodies, and preparing their minds. They accepted that the outcome was beyond their control, but prepared themselves for what they could handle. This mindset, deeply embedded in Stoicism, allowed them to face adversity without hesitation. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, captured this sentiment perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When we shift our energy to actions within our reach, like our response to situations, our daily habits, or our perspective, we take back control over our lives. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you spend time worrying about the unpredictable weather, you neglect the soil beneath your feet. But if you focus on planting seeds, watering the flowers, and nurturing the roots, your garden will thrive, regardless of the storms. In the same way, by focusing on what's tangible and actionable, you create a space of clarity in your mind. So consider this. What have you been stressing over recently that's beyond your control? Take a moment to reflect on how you could instead channel that energy into something within your grasp. Remember, by focusing on what you can control, you not only reduce overthinking, but you also cultivate a sense of inner power. The second lesson centers on the Stoic practice of negative visualization, intentionally imagining the worst-case scenario. This might sound counterintuitive, but by mentally facing our fears, we diminish their power over us. It's a technique that brings clarity, reduces anxiety, and tames overthinking. The ancient Egyptians understood this principle well. Before undertaking any major project or constructing a grand monument, they would first imagine the collapse. They would ask themselves, what if it all fails? What if the structures crumble? By visualizing the worst, they could better prepare for the unexpected and prevent potential disasters. This practice grounded them in reality, allowing them to approach challenges with a calm, prepared mindset rather than a fearful one. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, wisely noted, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Negative visualization isn't about wallowing in fear. It's about coming to terms with it. When you vividly picture the worst that could happen, losing a job, facing rejection, or encountering a setback, you remove the sting of uncertainty. You prepare yourself mentally and emotionally, making the potential blow softer if it does arrive. Think of this technique like a sailor setting sail on an unpredictable sea. Instead of fearing every storm, the sailor studies the worst possible weather patterns and prepares for them. With this preparation, he sails confidently, knowing he can handle whatever comes. In the same way, negative visualization is about building an emotional anchor, steadying your mind against unexpected gusts. So, take a moment to imagine a fear that has been nagging you. Visualize it fully, accept its possibility, and then ask yourself, how would I handle it? What steps would I take? You'll find that when you bring your fears to light, they often lose their power. By practicing negative visualization, you learn to face the unknown with greater courage and less anxiety, turning the shadowy fears of what if into clear plans of action. The third lesson emphasizes the importance of viewing setbacks not as failures, but as lessons. This shift in perspective is central to Stoic philosophy. Obstacles are not blockages on our path, but stepping stones for growth. Reframing challenges can be the key to reducing obsessive thoughts and easing the mental burden of what went wrong. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. Each strike of the hammer isn't seen as a mistake or setback. Rather, it's a necessary blow to shape the metal. The blacksmith understands that the heat of the forge and the resistance of the steel are essential parts of the process, not hindrances. In the same way, our setbacks are the hammer strikes that shape our character. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This mindset transforms obstacles from sources of frustration into valuable teachers. When you encounter a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn here? What does this moment teach me about myself, my weaknesses, and my strengths? This reflection allows you to see setbacks as part of the path, not deviations from it. There is a story from ancient China about a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbors expressed sympathy, calling it a disaster. The farmer simply responded, "Who knows if it's bad or good?" Days later, the horse returned with a herd of wild horses, which the farmer could now tame. The same neighbors celebrated his fortune, but the farmer's calm reply remained, "Who knows if it's bad or good?" To him, each event was a lesson, a part of a larger unfolding story. Take a moment to reflect. What recent setbacks have consumed your thoughts? Could they have a hidden lesson? Sometimes when we stop labeling events as failures and instead see them as lessons, the weight of overthinking lessens. This shift from a fixed mindset to a learning mindset is what the Stoics practiced, enabling them to maintain mental clarity in the face of adversity. Remember, it's not the setback itself, but our response to it, that shapes our journey. The fourth lesson focuses on limiting the influence of others' opinions, a core idea in Stoic philosophy that emphasizes internal stability over external validation. When we base our sense of self-worth on the opinions of others, we surrender control of our thoughts and emotions. This leads to a cycle of overthinking, where we constantly worry about how others perceive us. Picture a ship at sea, tossed by waves and stormy winds. If the ship constantly adjusts its course to every gust, it will never reach its destination. Similarly, when we allow the opinions of others to dictate our actions, our minds become like that unstable ship, drifting aimlessly and never finding true direction. For the Stoics, maintaining the steady course of our internal values, regardless of external judgment, was crucial to mental clarity. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was once a slave, said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This may sound extreme, but it highlights the Stoic idea of focusing on what you know to be right, even if others misunderstand or disapprove. Detaching from the need for validation brings freedom from the endless loop of worrying about what others might think. In ancient Greece, there's a story of Diogenes the Cynic, who lived a life of extreme simplicity and openly rejected societal expectations. Once, he was caught eating in public, something frowned upon at the time. When people mocked him, he replied, "If eating in the marketplace is shameful, then being hungry is not more honorable." Diogenes didn't seek approval from those around him. Instead, he found strength in his principles, undisturbed by others' opinions. Consider your own experiences. How often have you overthought a decision because you feared judgment? What if, instead, you chose to follow your inner compass, independent of outside validation? The Stoic practice of focusing on internal values over external opinions allows for clearer thinking, unburdened by the weight of others' judgments. By reducing the power of others' views over us, we can free our minds from constant anxiety and live with a stronger sense of purpose. Lesson 5 emphasizes the power of mindfulness and meditation, a practice that helps anchor the mind in the present moment, cutting through the noise of endless thoughts and worries. When our minds are overwhelmed by a constant stream of worries and fears, mindfulness can serve as a grounding force, bringing clarity and focus. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." For Marcus, who was also a Roman emperor and faced enormous pressures, meditation became a daily practice. He found stillness amidst the chaos of ruling an empire, returning again and again to the present moment through mindful reflection. This mental retreat allowed him to stay grounded, even when surrounded by challenges. In ancient Indian culture, the Buddha taught the art of mindfulness as a way to detach from suffering. He compared the restless mind to a monkey, constantly swinging from branch to branch, never settling. Through mindfulness and meditation, the Buddha taught his followers to calm the monkey mind, focusing instead on the present moment. This practice is similar to what Stoics like Seneca described when he spoke of training the mind to remain undisturbed by distractions. Consider a river flowing with a steady current. If you stand in the river and try to stop the flow with your hands, it becomes impossible. The more you fight it, the stronger the current feels. But if you step back and observe the water passing by, you begin to understand its rhythm without being swept away. Mindfulness is like stepping out of that current, allowing you to observe your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. For the Stoics, meditation was not about emptying the mind, but about observing thoughts without judgment and letting them pass without attachment. This approach reduces overthinking by cutting off the fuel that feeds it, our fixation on fears, regrets, or future anxieties. By cultivating a daily practice of mindfulness and meditation, you train your mind to be present, focusing on what is here and now, rather than being overwhelmed by what might be or what has already passed. This practice can serve as an anchor in turbulent times, helping to clear the mental fog and allowing a deeper sense of calm to take root. Lesson 6. Accept the impermanence of life. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to embrace the impermanence of life, a concept central to their worldview. By recognizing that everything, our experiences, emotions, and even our lives, is transient, we learn to let go of attachments and the fear of the unknown. In doing so, we reduce the grip of overthinking, especially when faced with uncertainty about the future. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, beautifully captures this idea when he writes, "The universe is change. Life is opinion." For the Stoics, the flow of life and its inevitable changes are natural and should not be feared. Instead of resisting change, we are encouraged to accept it as part of the great cycle of existence. Every moment is fleeting, every feeling temporary, and every challenge a passing wave. When we understand that, we are freed from the anxiety of trying to control everything. Imagine life as a river, constantly flowing, carrying with it both calm waters and turbulent waves. Just as the river does not resist its natural course, we too must accept the flow of life as it comes, knowing that nothing stays the same. If we try to hold on to one particular moment, one fleeting feeling, it's like trying to grasp water in our hands. The more we try to hold it, the more it slips away. The trick is not to hold, but to let go and allow the current to carry us forward. Consider the ancient Greek metaphor of the seasons. In winter, the earth is dormant, but it doesn't resist, it prepares for the renewal of spring. Similarly, life goes through seasons of growth, loss, and renewal, and all of these are temporary. If we understand and accept that change is inevitable, we free ourselves from the emotional burden of trying to control the uncontrollable. The fear of the unknown often stems from our attachment to the present moment or the future, thinking that it will always be the same. By practicing Stoic acceptance of life's impermanence, we gain peace in the knowledge that both good and bad times are temporary. This acceptance not only helps with overthinking, but also fosters a sense of tranquility, knowing that no matter what happens, everything passes. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Time heals what reason cannot." This timeless wisdom reminds us that overthinking is often rooted in our refusal to accept that everything changes. The sooner we embrace this fact, the easier it becomes to detach from our fears and anxieties about what might happen. When we accept impermanence, we stop clinging to the past or fearing the future. We learn to be fully present in each moment, knowing that each moment is fleeting and valuable. Through this practice, we cultivate a deeper sense of peace and mental clarity, freeing ourselves from the endless cycle of overthinking. Lesson 7. Create a morning and evening routine for reflection. A consistent morning and evening routine is a powerful tool for gaining mental clarity and controlling our thoughts. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of reflection in helping us align our actions with our values. A routine centered around self-reflection allows us to start and end our day with purpose, reducing the impact of unproductive thoughts. The ancient Greeks and Romans were no strangers to the benefits of reflection. In fact, philosophers like Socrates and Epictetus believed that the unexamined life was not worth living. For them, reflecting on their daily actions, thoughts, and emotions was essential to personal growth. In the early morning, the Stoics would take time to remind themselves of the values they wanted to embody that day. While in the evening, they would review their actions, learning from mistakes and acknowledging progress. Think of a gardener tending to their plants. Every morning, they water the soil, ensuring the roots are nurtured, and every evening, they inspect the growth, trimming any dead leaves or branches. This process of constant attention and care helps the garden thrive. Similarly, a morning routine grounds us for the day ahead, while an evening routine allows us to examine the garden of our thoughts and actions, removing what doesn't serve us. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This quote highlights the power of self-reflection. By setting aside time for reflection, we create an internal space that is unaffected by the distractions and noise of the world. Take the example of the Japanese practice of Kaizen, which emphasizes small, incremental improvements over time. Just as the Japanese believe in continuously refining their craft, the Stoics practice daily self-reflection to refine their minds. This slow, consistent approach to growth is a fundamental part of maintaining clarity and reducing overthinking. By recognizing our thoughts at the end of each day, we can correct our course before the negativity has time to take root. Additionally, consider the importance of a peaceful beginning and end to the day in many cultures. The ancient Egyptians, for example, saw the sun as a symbol of renewal and reflection. In the morning, as the sun rises, it represents new beginnings, and at night, as it sets, it encourages a review of the day's events. This mirrored the Stoic practice of self-reflection, where each day provides an opportunity to correct our course. A simple routine of reflecting in the morning about our intentions and reviewing our actions in the evening helps us identify and remove unproductive thoughts. The Stoics believed that by consciously choosing to focus on our values, we could train our minds to become less reactive and more proactive. This habit not only reduces overthinking, but also strengthens our mental resilience. Incorporating morning and evening reflection into our routines allows us to cultivate a clear, focused mind, free from the distractions of unnecessary thoughts. By taking the time to reflect, we train ourselves to live intentionally and avoid getting caught in the whirlwind of our emotions and anxieties. In this video, we've explored 7 powerful Stoic lessons to help you stop overthinking and embrace a more peaceful, focused mind. We discussed the importance of focusing on what you can control, practicing negative visualization, viewing setbacks as lessons, limiting the influence of others' opinions, and engaging in mindfulness. We also touched on the value of accepting the impermanence of life and creating daily routines for reflection. The key takeaway here is that detachment, a central tenet of Stoic philosophy, is a powerful tool for managing overthinking. By practicing these lessons consistently, you can free yourself from unnecessary mental clutter and find clarity in your daily life. Remember, overthinking doesn't have to control you. With Stoic wisdom, you can develop the mental strength to detach from distractions and focus on what truly matters. Make detachment a part of your daily practice, and you'll start experiencing a calmer, more centered mind. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By applying Stoic principles, you can transform your thinking and live with more peace and purpose.